Yo, so I'm not sure if you guys noticed, in the previous update they gave you this box which has a divinate for either Tang Xuan or Ling. So in this video I'm just gonna say which one is more worthwhile picking. Let's go over the divinates first. Alright, so Tang Xuan's divinate is when the barrier's HP is above 70%, Righteous Anger's damage plus 30%, that is massive. Righteous Anger is his S1. Yeah, this divinate is actually really good for him. Even at level 1, it's already at plus 20% damage. Let's take a look at Ling's. Ling's divinate is before casting Altar. The barrier has a 50% chance of gaining an attack up for 1 turn. Altar is his S3, and it's only at a 50% chance at level 1. So at level 3, it goes to 100%, and it also gives you a 2-turn attack up instead of 1 turn. So straight up, I'm just gonna say the Tang Xuan is a lot more worthwhile for you, because even at Divinate 1, he already gets the full effect. There's no chance base, there's no RNG, you just straight up get the 20% attack boost, 20% damage on his S1. So if you do have him at high resonance, at R2 he already starts landing the pursuit attack, so he does an insane amounts of damage with his S1. His R4 also boosts his S1 damage, and then his R6 now gives him a 4 addition. His S1 now does splash damage to 4 additional units, so it's now doing damage to 5 units. Let's take a look at his S1. So his S1 attacks one enemy, damage 100% of attack, deals splash damage to two random enemies. Splash damage is equals to 60. If you have it max skilled up, then it's going to do 80% max damage. Gains 1 random enchantment before attacking for 1 turn. Enchantments are Scorch, Death, and Shackle. Inflicts disease upon for 2 turns upon the target, and Death is upon dealing damage, inflicts true damage equals to 5% of target's max HP up to 50% of attack. And Shackle has a 40% chance of inflicting defense down for 2 turns upon damaging the target. So this is actually very good. When you have him at high resos, especially when he's at R2, he can start spamming his S1. When he goes into his S3, he can go into his S1 pursuit multiple times in a row because of his R2 effect. Instead of absorbing enchantments, grants corresponding effects based on the number of enchantments. If Tang Xuan has an enchantment, 20% chance of launching a pursuit attack. So when you cast any of his skills, he will have a 20% chance to pursuit onto his S1, and then when he casts that pursuit S1, he can go into another pursuit and infinitely proc. Let me just show you real quick. Alright, there we go. He pursued once, but once again, it's only a 20%, and on a counter attack as well, he can proc a pursuit, which is why, you know, in some of the bossing contests, he can be useful. He has seen some uses in Trials content, and also you can also use him in Dark Starlord. In Dark Starlord, he doesn't need to be R6 because there's only 3 enemies, and yeah, only 3 enemies because he already does splash damage to 2 enemies without being at R6. So let's take a look at the uses of both of them. Sonic, I'm just gonna leave out Sonic and Rift. Ritual Miracle, both of them are not really that useful for any. No. For Tang Xuan, you can use him for Andras for wave clearing. He's very good in wave clearing for Andras. But aside from that, Chronos is not good, Apep is not good, Fafnir is not good, and Ling is not used for any of this Ritual Miracle bosses. For Falsetto Fantasy, Ling has no uses, maybe aside from Sonica if you really don't have any options. But for Dark Starlord, you can actually use Tang Xuan, because when you put him on the Avatara counter, Avatara set, when he counters, he has a chance to pursuit, and when he pursuits, he hits all 3 enemies and also deals a lot of damage, while also have a chance of defense breaking them. Tang Xuan is useful in Dark Starlord, whereas Ling is not in any of them. Maybe Counter Sonica, like I said, if you really don't have any options. But yeah, the other 2, Tang Xuan is not that good. For Desolate Lands, you can use Tang Xuan for Shadow Stream, but it's not going to be like a crazy score. You're better off using Tang Yun, his brother, because Tang Yun is more single target focused, right? And he has the same mechanic of pursuits. And the only reason why you want to bring Tang Xuan in Shadow Stream is for the pursuit mechanic, so you can get those crazy score. But if you're already using a pursuit character, you're better off using Tang Yun instead of Tang Xuan. So neither Ling or Tang Xuan is used for any of the Desolate Lands. For trials, there is some trials that Tang Xuan has seen some uses. If you don't have any other options, then Tang Xuan can be used for this trial as well, because there is 3 enemies in the field. So whenever he procs a counter, he procs on all 3. The trial that he shines the most is trials with 5 enemies, and all of them do AoE hits. So whenever he counters on all 5 if you have him at R6. So you can actually get a pretty crazy score in those type of trials where there's 5 enemies when you're running a Tang Xuan. Whereas Ling hasn't seen any use, not even once, in any of these trials ever since trials was introduced. He has not been used in any of them. So yeah, once again, Ling has fallen short in pretty much all content except for maybe the Calamity Towers. That's the only place that you're gonna see Ling used in PvE at this point. Both of them are very useful in Calamity Tower. Ling, because you can put him on the Tyranny set. I do use Ling in my Calamity Tower, and I also use Tang Xuan in my Howling Pillar Wind Tower, because he provides the defense down and he also does a pretty significant amount of damage as well. So both of them are useful in the towers, in the Calamity Island, and in PvP, both of them are kind of trash. I'm not gonna lie, because you don't want to rely on like RNG procs to win you the match. Maybe Tang Xuan could be useful in defense comps, but in offense you never want to use him, because you don't want to rely on that 20% chance to proc the pursuit in order to win the match. Aside from this pursuit mechanic, he doesn't really offer you anything. The defense down is too low of a chance, his damage is kind of low on his S3. He has some survivability, but it's not really gonna do you any good. And his S1, once again, you don't want to rely on the pursuit chance. And then when it comes to Ling, I have my Ling R6. I don't use him at all anymore. I did use him in one of my videos, but that's just to showcase his R6, and that's about it. After that, I have not used him in any of my team comps, because his damage is just pretty garbage. He does have a pretty good S3 that when you have him at R6, he steals AP. So he steals 30% AP from 5 enemies, gaining an extra turn. Then he could go into his second skill, right? But the thing is, his damage is just lackluster, that it's not worthwhile running him. And with the Avatara in the meta, when you get a turn, you sometimes get like debuffs on you, you get your buff strip. So going into his second skill, he's not going to do any damage as well. And his second skill doesn't even do damage. It does so little damage that it's not even worth him taking an extra turn for that. But yeah, both of them are pretty garbage, but I would say maybe Ling is slightly higher in PvP. Just slightly. You're still not going to use him if you have Ling. Unless you really have no other choice, then you might go for Ling. And then Tang Xuan as well is also pretty garbage in PvP. Since they're both garbage in PvP, but Tang Xuan has more uses in PvE, that's why I say this box, you should really try to go for Tang Xuan instead of Ling. You can choose which one you want. There we go. I don't use both of them because I don't have Tang Xuan at R6 just yet. Once I get him to R6, I might go for his Divinate, or just maybe hoard this box for now. But yeah, if you're still planning to go for which one, I would highly advise to go for Tang Xuan. He is more useful than Ling in PvE, and yeah, Ling is garbage. That's about it. Ciao.